So here we are going to learn about actually in the previous lecture, how the internet works, internet extranet and all, and you have learned about some kind of information systems also. In here, overall, you are going to learn about how they are created and what are the tasks behind those information systems. So in uh, practical usage, we are going to consider about this lesson. So the first thing is the system design. Is how will information system do what it must do to obtain a solution to a problem. So in system development, it is a two-phase development. So the one is analysis and then the design. So in analysis, we are talking about this system is feasible and uh, what are the benefits that we'll have after creating this system. So those are the things that we cover under analysis, and then we are going for the design. So design means so first in analysis we are gathering those requirements, and in designing it is the plan uh, how the system is going to meet those requirements. So here in the system design, the main output is a technical specification document, right? So consider uh, about architect who design maybe a building, maybe a house. So his blueprint or his plan blueprint is actually the uh, similar thing can be considered as the system design. So actually the job role business analysis uh, is necessary to create this system design. So they will work with both clients and client customers and with the developer team. And according to the requirements of the clients or the requirement of the system, they will going to design this system design. So it can vary from the project size. So it can be small or can be in all multiple companies. So there can be multi corporate trend where many collaboration among firms. So inside the company also there will be many collaboration. And there are two such designs. Those are uh, local and physical. Uh, Give me a minute. So as I mentioned, there is two designs. So first one is the logical design, and second one is the physical design. So it's digging to more. So in logical design, so it describes the what the system is do, right? So we know as this design is the functional requirement document or functional requirement. So so functional requirements not going to talk about the hardware or software required. So it's only mentioned what is the system is about. So that means what are the input methods and output format and the content of the outputs, and determine the data processing and those calculations, and especially the database planning. So ER diagrams and all are designing in this phase, right? In the functional requirements or in the logical design. And when you are developing some network, your system need to create a network infrastructure, or you need to create the network characteristics. Those are also considered or discussed in this functional requirements, with the how many how how the network is created in the system, how the database is going to fall with the back end, front end, right? So those are will created under this functional requirement, and especially the security measures. That means implementing the controllers and all. Those are will also discuss under this logical design. And maybe if there are some job roles like let's say maybe a POS system, point of sale system, right? So there should be have a cashier and the basic customers, normal customers, and the goods uh, that are going to sold through the system. So those are those job roles also, or those titles also considered under this logical design. So now let's talk about the physical design. So in physical design, students, give me another minute. So sorry about the delay. So as I mentioned, in logical design, we are going to talk about the uh, functional requirements. So it's not going to involve uh, about the hardware or software specification. So in physical design, so in under that we are going to discuss about those technologies. So in order to complete those functional requirements or our logical design. So in this phase, we are discussing about the software requirements, database specification, like we are going to use the MySQL, NoSQL, maybe SQL Server, or those technological infrastructure is going to talk about in this phase. So consider about the network also. What are the telecommunication networks or the devices that are required? So it is a details document about those areas, and even what are the experience that will required for a specific job, and those experience also required experience also mentioned under this physical design. And as I mentioned, in logical design, we have about the uh, how the implementing controls and security measures. But in physical design, actually we are designing what are those security measures and how to ensure the system security, integrity, and those procedures and controllers will discuss in detail how the components will uh, gather to fulfill the required uh, fulfill the requirement. We'll discuss under this physical design. So it is actually the physically we can see what will happen. So in logical design, we are discussing about the functional requirement, right? So that means what are the functions, and here we are going to discuss how those functions are being implemented in our system. Next, another practice that you need to aware of when you are working with information system is backup, right? So here uh, there are three such options for especially for hardware backups. That means if maybe we never know, there can be natural disasters, hackers can attack, maybe some technological failure, or never know, maybe some ban or the internet access is banned by the government. So then the how the system is going to work. So you need to think about those aspects as well when you are doing in an information system, right? So under this hardware backup, we are talk about those aspects, how we can think about the if there are some disaster or some problem arise, how the system is going to perform. So fault tolerance is determined uh, based on the importance of the business, right? Importance of the that particular information system. So let's talk about the banking app. So it is very necessary to have such kind of backup. Otherwise, the system uh, had a crash. Then the whole the information of the transaction, if those are lost, then it is will be a very problem. Even you can go maybe they can be taken for the uh, low authorities as well. So one thing actually happened to some particular company, very famous company in Sri Lanka as well. And for these cases, there are several companies also who are giving those privileges to create those disaster recovery plans. So some companies they will help others companies to store the backup, and when such disaster happen, maybe uh, maybe a natural disaster. If such case, how the system is going to back up and work, or given the sequential without having any interruption, how the system is going to perform. Those can be done with the help of those disaster recovery systems. So here there is another two uh, concept: hot site and cold site. So hot site means it provides immediate access to duplicate hardware. So what that means, uh, so if the system had some failure, or some components, hardware components is failed, then this same thing will be access, or get immediate access from a same kind of a duplicate hardware. This can easily done by using virtual machines. So currently many of those services, actually those services also known as microservices. Basically, many companies use the simple microservices and integrating those microservices to do a particular task. So if such microservices fail, then there will be another duplicate microservices that is going to run in a different hardware, different duplicate hardware. So that will discuss under this hot side. So cold side means it's not going to offer such hardware facility, but using another firms, it will going to bring the backup if needed. So cold side is also known as shells. So it provides facilities like rooms, phone lines, electricity, but not the computer hardware. So if the uh, firm's main computer failed, they would bring a backup system to side to the side to up the site and resume their operation. So hot site will or known as off-site facilities. So in that case, maybe complete phone line services, data networks, those are will considered in hot site. And other thing, uh, so in here we have discussed about the hardware, how the hardware backup is uh, can be done. So one thing is hot site, where directly duplicate hardware to that particular problem. The phone line, then we can redirect to another phone line, like a cold site. We are going to uh, ask for maybe uh, those facilities like electricity, uh, kind of. It's not the hardware, but the duplicate facility. we talk about the software and database backup. So that means it is especially to or necessary to have at least two copies of the same information system. That means if the something happened to the ongoing project or ongoing system, then get we can fix that issue by using the duplicate system. So one copy will be on site. That means in a particular region, and it's going to uh, deploy, and one should be in offsite. So offsite is our backup server. So it is for backing up user data. So there are several scenarios that we can do this backup. So one thing is selective backup. So it will backup only specific files, right? That means if a larger company, then we are unable to backup all the information in the information system. So what the company can do is select the necessary things that can that is necessary to backup, like user data, likewise. So other information can be retrieved from some another party, right? So those are is not necessary to backup. So in that case, we are selecting what are the necessary things, and only they will be backup. So it is mentioned in the selective backup. So other thing is this incremental backup. So incremental backup uh, will backup only the change files. So in that case, like let's say same, we take the user data. So in selective backup, we are selecting the upcoming user data, newly inserted users, likewise. But if there are some updated, uh, some particular user updated their user data, then system can identify these files have changed. So in incremental backup, we can only backup those change files. So incremental backup rely on image logs uh, to reconstruct the current database. So that means uh, if it is check what in a database, it will check if there are any uh, things that are of change. So only those thing will be selected, and it is going to backup. So what that means is it is automated process where it will check those image logs and see whether are there any differences, and if there are differences, then uh, it can back up. So one another thing is uh, uh, in periodically it will need to have a full backup as well. So it is the most recommended way. So what that means is after some time, let's say after 1 month. So after 1 month, we back up the whole thing. So if something happened to these backups and all, what we can do is by using those periodic backups, which will be backup in several places, right? Not going to backup in one place, will backup in several places. Then uh, something will happen, we can restore our system to that particular time by using those full backups. So it is most recommended and comprehensive data protection method under the backup. So, here we discuss about the backup system. It's happening in hardware, in software perspective. So, on another practice that will you need to know about information system is this RFE, request for proposal. So this means when there are hardware or software from an outside vendor needed for a system. So hardware, maybe a software that is from the outside is needed for a particular system. Then it will create the request for proposal, or this RFP is created by the particular company. So in this RFP document, it's formally described what are the requirements of the hardware, software services with the time frame, and then the company can request for a bid. So this is some similar thing. So so in this mention the hardware requirements, personal requirements, communication requirements. So company seek those requirements from outside vendor. Then he need to create this document. Then he can request for a bid. So other companies can bid for this one, and they can select the most suitable one. So this is that's request for proposal document. So uh, one another concept, another practice in information system is this preliminary and final evaluation. So when developing the information system, the client may require many number of changes to your system. So in preliminary phase, there can be many number of alternative systems. So that means many number of changes in requirement can be happen, right? So in this graph, it clearly show uh, with the time when they are in the final evaluation is happening, what are the number of alternatives can be have, right? So in the preliminary evaluation process, we can eliminate unsuitable proposals. So in this phase, we can created some kind of short list of short lists of the promises of the proposals. So vendor or the client will check what are the references that he need to check, and what are the requirements. So those requirements or those things can be changed time to time, but in preliminary evaluation, we are going to reduce many uh, up to many number of unusual, unsuitable evaluations, unsuitable proposals. So even then, there can be many number of alternatives. So after a particular time, when the system is in the final stage, then there can be very drastically down of the requirements of requirement changes. So that means we are in the final stage to check whether this will be our system. So that means there will be less number of changes. So in final evaluation, It is a detailed evaluation, including system demonstration as well. So in that case, we can consider the factors like cost, performance, flexibility, vendor support. Those are will check with both final evaluation and the preliminary evaluation as well. And in these evaluations, we are ensuring the alignment with the company's objective before making any choice. So as I mentioned in final evaluation, so variety of factors will be considered to make the final evaluation. So although it is very important to determine whether the proposed system meets the company's objective. So there are several evaluation techniques. So for approaches, most among commonly used procedures to select an alternative. So whether it is something is as large as hardware for a system or as small as selecting the best screen design. So in the first one, group consciousness. It is a particular group is charged with the responsibility of making final evaluation and the selection. So team members will discuss the options until they reach an agreement. So in benchmark test, it will compare different products operating on the uh, same condition. So there are the two that are cost benefit analysis uh, with the system is how much is cost and what are the benefits that will gain. So that will also it's another evaluation technique, and we can see in each point uh, how the system is performed. So those are the four evaluation techniques. So as I mentioned in the last diagram also, when we designed or when we did the our evaluations, we can see there will be a reduce of number of changes needed. But the thing is, still there can be many number of changes in the middle also. So it will be very hard for a developer to uh, develop the product. That means the client is see rapidly changing the requirements. So what even in agile method also it will happen. So if there is necessary to do such a requirement, then however we have to the developers have to do the fulfill the requirements. But uh, as a BA, what he can do is they can put those this requirement in the uh, logical design as well, where for after a particular time they can freeze the design specification. So that means there will be a drastically reduce reduction of the changes, number of changes that will need to do for the system. So the near the end of the design stage. So specifications are frozen when users accept the system design in writing. So when users accept it, then there will be less number of changes and that means the uh, specification document will be processed. So that means it will prevent the cost overrun, schedule delays, and unmet expectations. So here, scope creep, it refers to users requesting changes to the original uh, system design during the implementation. In the natural case, these changes can accumulate, uh, causing delays and budget overruns. So often changes are deferred until the system is finished. So not going to uh, so the most oftenly changing requirements. Those are not going to address. So major requirements will be addressed. So to just avoid the scope creep. So we have discussed about system design phase. Then uh, the next thing is system implementation. So so implementation is follows after the system design. So in this phase, we are talking about how to turn in the specification document into a working system. So here there's a term make or buy decision. That means involves choosing to buy or lease software external for sources like reliability and fast implementation. So implementation occurs after system design. Implementation includes all the activities necessary to convert the system specification into an operational information system. So as I mentioned, so make or buy decision. It's for software involves choosing between buying or leasing off the shelf software. So it is developing in in-house, outsourcing the development, uh, or maybe the combining both these methods. So organizations and companies often buy or lease external software to reduce risks related to system capabilities and completion dates. So why we are uh, going to lease is it is again it is very cost friendly, and the risk is also limited, and when we lease a software, then if we want to install lease the software, then we can see what are the requirements of installation and all. So it is very easy to install in the when you are in the installing phases aspect. So in the implementation phase, the other thing is we need to uh, check the system by doing the series of testing. So here we are going to discuss about some of those testings, unit testing, system testing. So in unit testing, it will focus on testing individual programs or components. So information system, it has large components. Let's say as I mentioned, point of sale system. That means the system that will run on those supermarkets and all, where the sales is calculated and all. So there are several components to print the uh, those barcodes, ID, and uh, include them into a database. And when it is selling, uh, what are the items is going to sell, and total, calculate the total. Uh, and there are many number of uh, requirements are there. So there are we need to check those specific units. So in unit testing, we are focusing on each scenarios, and if those scenarios is working correctly, then the unit testing is can be passed. So in system testing, it is involved testing the entire information system, which comprises multiple programs. So in that case, in a system testing, it will run uh, all the scenarios that is it is required for a system, and it will requires, or it will comprise with multiple programs. So in this phase, it can verify uh, the interfaces between programs. So what that means is, if the particular information system consists of several programs, so we need to have a stable between each interfaces in each program. So they are rely between the program outputs. So those each program outputs uh, are in order, and are they are in box, will be considered among the those is programs under a specific information system is going to test in this system testing uh, phase. And the next thing is volume testing. In the here, it will test the system performance with a large amount of data. So, like you may know, when the first QR code is introduced, so the particular SMS is it is very hard to get that particular SMS by that particular system, because there are much more load. That means every person in Sri Lanka is accessing that particular code, and the system is unable to handle those volume. So in the information system, we need to test that scenario as well. So that means system is performs under large amount of data, and the system is scalable, and its stability under such heavy loads. So in integration testing, we will ensure the uh, new informations to the system can seamlessly work with the existing system or the component within the organization or the company's technological infrastructure. So what that means, so it's not the system testing, but integration testing means uh, now we are in the development process, and we are develop several components, and we need to integrate those components. So in that integration, uh, before integration, we need to check that can we able to seamlessly integrate those components. So it will done under that particular organization infrastructure. So the final one is the acceptance testing. So in this means it is conducted by uh, the users at their side with their data, or maybe if this is involve a particular client. So then we done this testing with the client. That means the system is fulfill the client requirement is being tested under this acceptance testing. So it validates that the system meets all the functional and performance objectives, and it is acceptable for actual use. So we have discussed about the system design, how we are going to design the particular information system, and how we are going to implementation. And the implementation we have discussed about the testing aspect. So it is not the end of the information system. Actually, then the beginning of the uh, requirement, or the beginning of the actual thing is happen after that. That is the system maintenance. So here this involve monitoring monitoring changes, fixing, and even enhancing of a currently operational information system. So I will discuss why it is the most important thing. So these are the reasons. So virtually all programs and information systems need ongoing maintenance. Some of the many reasons for maintenance are listed in here. So most often these reasons can be classified as maintenance to fix a problem or enhance the system or adapt to it changes in its environment. So let's take the first one, changes in business process. So that means the system is currently working fine, but the business perspective or the client perspective, uh, there should be a changes. So those are also comes under system maintenance. So then the development team need to address those changes as well. And the same there and stakeholders, users, managers, they also can request for a particular changes or particular scenarios. So those are also on the system maintenance. Errors in the program, hardware problems, technical problems. Likewise, uh, so these, as I mentioned, these are classified as maintenance to fix a problem, enhance the system, or adapt to the changes in its environment. So here are some types of maintenance. So stream upgrade. So it is for minor changes, often for bug fixes. It is done by without formal announcement as well. And the next one is patch. So uh, so fixes or enhancement patch into existing code like bug fixes or improvement. So patch can be both bug fixes or some enhancement for the same system. So you can read out those patch notes when you are installing a system also. There can be several uh, patches. So even when you're installing some app from let's say Android app. So it mentioned about the patch notes. So next one is a new release. So new release means it should be have a significant change, or maybe a unique features introducing like this. So it is need to update the documentation as well. New in a new release or in new version. So it is drastically a newer version rather than a new release. So major changes with new features and possible for a removal of existing ones maybe. So here it's definitely need to have a documentation update. So many uh, there are several such types as well. So here we are discussing most frequently using types of maintenance. So in this diagram, you can clearly see if it is a good design, then particularly the uh, overall cost and uh, overall cost is reduced, right? But in for a good design, there will be have higher number of uh, design cost will be there, right? Design cost means design, implementation, and all both, right? In a poor design, the system implementation may be very less, but after that, when there is some bug arises or something, then we need to address those particular bugs. Then to address those bugs, it is very uh, cost intention. And you can see even for a good design, also maintenance is the phase where it takes higher requires higher number of value involvement, right? So programs are more expensive to maintain it than to develop. So it makes sense to invest more time and resources during development to save on maintenance cost, right? So uh, so it is have a clear idea when designing the system. You need to have a clear idea, and it is necessary to invest more for design process to reduce the maintenance cost. So well-designed and well-documented programs actually cheaper to maintain, and it will degrade less from repeated maintenance. So you can see in this diagram uh, how those value involvements will be have in the particular design, right? So we have discussed the system design, implementation, and maintenance. The next thing is the system review. So system review is the process of evaluating whether the system is operating as intended. So what that means, it involves comparing actual performance and benefits to the system requirements, and need to re-examine factors like cost, control, complexity. Yes, DLC means software development life cycle. This is the actually the final stage. So as I mentioned, under this phase, we are uh, going to compare. Actually, we got our results uh, by comparing the objectives that we had in design phase. So system reviews and is an ongoing process that continues through the life of a system. It ensures that the system remains effective and efficient. So you can see like Windows XP, Windows 7. So those are now degraded because the with this system review, we can see the newer systems are very efficient and effective, and even this can be updated to newer versions. So it is done by in the continuous process. And there are another term event-driven reviews. So in these reviews are triggered by specific occurrences. So such as processing errors, acquisitions, or user requests. So they address issues as they arise. In event-driven reviews, if there are some event or some user required, then the event-driven reviews are happen. So other thing is uh, time-driven reviews. So these reviews occur at a set of intervals, maybe after a month or after 3 months or after a year. Likewise, regardless of specific event. For example, some companies review applications annually to ensure they still align with business goals and function as expected. So usually what will happen is a combination approach where many companies use a combination of both event-driven, time-driven reviews to maintain and improve their system effectively. So these are some factors to consider during the system review. So ensure the system meets organizational needs, evaluate technology for updates, maintaining advocate personnel and controls, provide training. So that means if the system is required some necessary training, so newer user should be need to train. So those also can be addressed or can be checked under this system review, including performance monitoring, efficiency, and use performance products to measure all system components. So some are there. So so after going through the journey of the information system, so it is in the design process and the implementation, maintenance, and reviews. So after that, so if it is discarded a particular system, so what will happen? So that means is it should be discarded, it should be removed. So uh, so in intangible properties, so those software and all those can be deleted, but the hardware, so what happened to them? So here in the computer waste and mistake, it is this contribute to the computer problems, high cost, low profits, and maybe the angry customer. So computer waste refers to inappropriate use of computer technology and services. So computer mistake include errors, failures, and related problems that cause computer uh, output to be incorrect or not useful. So most computer related mistakes are caused by actually the humans. So it is actually spread in both public and private sectors. So usually caused by the improper management of information technology. So some companies discarded usable hardware and software that would be used elsewhere, right? So what they are doing is they can maybe solve uh, chose cheap for less money or can be donated. So another example is some computer waste occurs when significant resources are invested in the development of an information system, and then it is never used to fullest extent, right? So that means when in system design it is not correctly designed, uh, system design. So they requested uh, more than necessary uh, resources. So what will happen is will never use at the fullest extent. So this can be happening in many reasons. Maybe as I mentioned, poor design or inadequate training and major causes. So both can happen. So employees playing computer games or surfing the web at their desks, the company time also can treated as source of waste. And there are larger number of junk emails and junk accesses are also there. So those also are considered as this computer waste and mistakes, right? So yeah, this is the end of this session. So we have discussed about the whole life cycle of a computer system. So from the design first phase to implementation, then maintenance, and after that review. So then what is meant by this computer waste and mistakes? So as I mentioned, at the end, what will actually mistake is the time. So you need to keep aware of these things when you are working with information system as a students who are doing information systems. So you need to keep aware of these things and try to improve the system uh, and reduce the actual wastage and create a good design. So those are will be uh, compared with you among the other person in the industry when you are going to the industry. So I think yeah, this is the end of the this lecture. So next Wednesday, so I will do the next session and and next Wednesday, right? And I will do another session about the ethical perspective of this perspective of the information system. It is for this lecture, and I will do it as a tude for your social and professional issues subject as well. So, do you have any questions? Oh, I think yeah, we can wind up the sessions. Okay, students. Since yeah, there is no questions.